and welcome to another episode of the podcast. My name is Dave and I'm joined as ever by my good friend Ian.
Hello.
And we're going to get into fucking Friday on E1 2023. Let's fucking go. We've got a D8 this time. So it's a little joke there for you for the pre-LARP fans. Yeah.
Jeez. Man, would you want to just...
okay, let's talk about the weather.
Yeah.
E1 always has this thing where the joke is Matt P, who's the one of the top bods at Profound Decisions, has a weather machine, and he likes to mess with the dials, and E1 is notorious for the dials being twisted.
Yeah,
it was like really nice, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like. I think did it rain a little bit on the Friday?
Yes, there was. I think the main thing, we'll get to this, was the cold on the Thursday night, because we obviously went down there for the Thursday night. Thursday, by the way, was just great. It's always nice to go in there, setting up, doing all of that business was fantastic. Just had a really nice time meeting up with people, pop down to the forge, all that kind of jam. Mm-hmm. Just really nice. Set up the camp early. You don't have anything to really worry about. Friday's just very light stuff until time in. But yeah, it was extremely cold on the Thursday night, I remember.
It was so cold. I had to go and get my cloak because I was so chilly. In fact, John gave me his nice jacket. He had an extra jacket with a furry bit on it, so I walked around in that, which was very, very nice.
But I think that was the main thing. There was a little bit of rain that kind of came in smatterings throughout the event. Yeah. But mainly on the Thursday and the Friday, I think. But the main thing was just the cold on the Thursday and sort of deep in the evenings.
Yeah, I was a chilly boy. I can't remember what I did on Thursday now. I wandered around for a bit. I just basically had drinks.
Yeah, I think we just set up.
And we also got there way earlier than we usually do. Yeah. And it was really nice to get set up. Also, in our... we're now the Ashbourne instead of with the Entwined Path, so we've got like a nice little personal camp. Yeah. And it was just nice hanging with the boys, wasn't it? Like,
it was just great. I mean, and I think it's nice and tucked out the way, and I think we've all kind of got our own kit systems down to a degree, even me, where we can still get there.
I don't know.
I got there in good time.
Yeah, you did, but like, it's not the time it takes, it's the amount of shit you bring.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
I bring a lot of shit.
Now, I'm looking after the tent, which we should have mentioned in the pre-LARP. We got it cleaned.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that was awesome, actually.
Yeah, like, we got it cleaned, sent it off, and got it back. It was quite pricey, but they've done a bang-up job.
It looks like...
really good.
Really good. Like, almost brand new.
Waterproofed. We had some waterproofing issues with the tent, and it was just getting wet in there, but now it's really nice. Anyway, what was my point? Oh yeah, my point was the amount of shit you bring with you is insane. Like, okay, yeah, my point about that was I'm now looking after the tent in my house, my flat, my poxy little flat.
To be fair, you are using the tent a fair bit for a bunch of events. It's not practical for me.
I understand how we got here, Ian. That's not what. All you've done is gone. Well, that's a tent space now I have in my car, which I don't need to think about. And you've filled it with even more stuff.
Kind of. It's a little bit less, actually. In general, it's kind of... It's like, because I used to bring 2 of those massive fucking boxes. Yeah. I only bring 1 now. And that's just a lot more comfortable.
How many bags of snacks did you bring?
I bought quite a lot of snacks.
Really?
Yeah, I bought quite a lot of snacks. I did the Navacha's party.
Can you give us a rundown of a brief overview? Try and keep it brief though, of how many snacks you bought.
There's a huge thing of marshmallows, the giant ones. Mm-hmm. There was like 4 boxes of chocolate crispy things. Mm-hmm. There was
the muffins.
4 boxes of muffins.
What else did you have?
I got these misshaped Jaffa cakes.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and they were a bit disappointing because they really, really were misshapen.
Yeah, they weren't like mildly disfigured.
No, I expected, because previously I'd got them and they'd been like Jaffa cakes with a bit in the middle who's slightly off centre. These were like mashed together Jaffa cakes.
Serious accident, you know.
So they were still very tasty. Loads of mango and
oh yeah, by the way, dried mango is a brave choice at a LARP.
I quite like it though.
No, I do, but I'm just like the dangers of large amounts of alcohol dried fruit, porter cabins, very elaborate kit. It's a bold choice.
No, I mean, I actually weirdly, I find it helps. It helps
the regularity.
Yeah. No, it's good. So, there's a fair bit of stuff I bring. And most of it, to be honest, is different changes of soft kit options and different layers of soft kit
depending on the occasion.
Which weirdly, I actually do end up wearing the same style of garb pretty much all the time, even though I have various different options now. Anyway, so yes, I certainly have a lot of stuff.
Anyway, let's get into it. What you got something to say?
No, I was going to say you've got the new player.
I was chatting to Tim, and Tim Baker, and he's a wonderful man. Tim, by the way, just a quick shout out to Tim. He's the guy who, whenever I'm like, we want to do an episode on X, I usually talk to him, and he gives me recommendations on which guests would be good.
Yeah,
and I think we can all agree we've had a run of incredibly good guests. So thank you very much, Tim, and thank you to all those wonderful people who have been so on. But yeah, like really good. Anyway, and I saw him post something about the new player skirmish,
right?
And I was like, did you want a hand with that? Okay,
that's
like.
Cool.
Yeah, this is very much previous Dave fucking over present day Dave or future Dave, because I was like, it's Friday, the weather's doing wacky stuff. I was like, I've got lots to do. I'm already kind of knackered because I drank loads on the Thursday, and now I'm heading off to the new players.
I was really surprised because bearing in mind you had a fair amount of health issues last year and stuff as well, so you hadn't actually been on a lot of skirmishes and battles.
No.
Until.
Yeah,
towards the end of the year.
Very recently. Right, I'm still...
So it was great actually seeing you head off again and go and
get involved.
Yeah, because you do love it, right? Like,
hell yeah, I love it. But the thing was, it was like... I also want to say, from Friday onwards, I developed a horrible cold. And you know what's weird when you get ill? You're like, who gave this to me? I wonder where this came from. I know exactly where this came from. I hugged Ellie on the Thursday. Oh. She was all snotty and gross. And then I became a snotty, gross person myself. So thanks, Ellie, for, like, just... But then again, I went around and hugged loads of people as well. So...
What can we do?
Sometimes you're snot on, and sometimes you're the snotter, I guess.
Yeah.
That's just how life is. Yeah, so I went off to the new player skirmish. I got there just before 4, and holy guacamole, there were a lot of new players. Like 500 new players. Like, shoving is just like lower than that. And it was like, god damn, there's a lot of them. Their kit looked amazing. Yeah. The new player keen. You could feel it coming off them. I got there a bit early, and they were doing... who was there? Nick... and Johnny does ILARP stuff, and a lady, I don't know, I've never met the lady, but they were doing a new player brief, but to like 500 people, right? There's a bunch of people there, and they were excellent. Like, they were so good. They were funny, informative, they really laid stuff down. I was like, I sat there and watched it for a bit, because I was like, this is just gold. Like, they're so good at what they do. So yeah, new players were all hanging out, learning lots. And then we were like, okay, now we're going to do the new player skirmish. Get separated out into their different nations.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we don't have anyone from the Brass Coast. I was like, I'll look after the Brass Coast. Like, they're a bit like Navarre, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. You could kind of make an argument for it, like skirmish tactics.
Yeah.
Whatever, but I'm a Navarre, and therefore slightly, murder them, kill the enemy. You can't betray your enemy type vibe. Anyway, the freeborn that I looked after were wonderful, very keen. We were told to try and encourage people to take leadership roles, so I tried to get people to take leadership roles and stuff. It's very difficult, but let's face it, when you're first starting out, it's about confidence building. Okay, like that's what it's really about. Like, it's not about if your voice carries enough or any of that stuff. It's about stepping up to the plate and trying to get involved. And we did.
That's a lot of LARP in general, really.
Dude.
Like, it's not just in the combat game. It's in all aspects.
Exactly.
Essentially it's just the whole thing is just an opportunity to give stuff a go, and not necessarily.
Hey, if you're not a confident person, play a confident person at LARP, and then you get to the end of the weekend and go, "Wow, my character did loads of confident things," and then you realise, "Oh, I was that character, and it was me the entire time." It's such a great learning experience. It happens to different people at different times. It definitely happened to me. I know it's happened to you. So if you're not there yet, don't worry. Like, keep doing it. You'll get there eventually. Or not. Like, it doesn't matter. We did... What did we do? We did ones where we got one group, which was part of my group, to be attacked by a larger squad and to get decimated. Then another, even bigger squad came in and rescued us, and it gave the physics a chance to roleplay physicking.
That's cool.
Really nice.
Yeah.
We did a donut of death, but the donut was itself was a little the innards of the donut was a little bit too big, and they actually wrecked the surrounding aspect of the donut, so it didn't really work out that well. But it was a good, fun learning experience. And then we did a couple of fighting retreats just to teach them. Basically, like, the good things about teaching them donuts of death and a fighting retreat is they're the two hardest things you'll ever do on the field. Yeah, they're the times that most people will get murdered. Killed, a donut of death and a fighting retreat. Oh yeah. Yes, it is. It was a ball. I yelled a lot. I ran around, tried to get people involved. We had a bloody good time. I really hope I did a good job. I don't know whether I did. Hopefully, the Brass Coast didn't suffer too many catastrophic deaths as a result of me trying to teach them. But I just want to thank Tim and the rest of the volunteers who went along for basically having me along and letting me do that.
Do you think you're going to do it again, or?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to assume.
Yeah.
You know, but I had a really fun time. Friday is obviously quite a difficult time at 4:00 because you're kind of getting geared up and doing all that stuff. But actually, it really helped brushing off the cobwebs, doing a little bit of fighting.
You came back and you were hyped. You were really ready to go.
Yeah, I was pumped. Yeah. But I did kind of blow my voice out quite early because I was trying to,
you're trying to give it.
Trying to give a bit of a vibe of what the fighting's like, and Anyway, I did that. And then, time in?
Yeah, and one of the things that... there's a lot of stuff that happens very quickly at time in. Because obviously, you kind of start at 6, and you've only got so many hours of daylight, and there's skirmishes that are going out, there's national meetings that are happening, there's all the sort of the different groups that have to then meet up and do the things. So, actually, you can give yourself a slow start, because obviously everything in LARP is optional, but... If you've got key things you want to be involved in, it can actually happen very quickly. So you kind of have to hit the ball rolling on a bunch of stuff. And leading in, we'd been talking to John, who plays Caddock.
Yeah,
and he's
definitely not a spy.
Yeah, definitely not a spy.
Yeah, I don't know why I bring that up.
Yeah,
but he's not a spy.
Yeah,
winky
face. And we love John. We love. Caddock's character as well, and it was just we all kind of just agreed we would have him as part of the Ashbourne.
Well, we had a bit of a chat, didn't we? We have a rule. Well, we came up with a rule, which is we're only gonna, because we want to keep it really small.
Yes, we definitely want to keep it small.
So it has to be a completely unanimous vote.
Yeah,
there is no judgment if someone says no. It's if one person says no, then we all say no.
Yeah,
and I think that's quite a nice rule for trying to keep your group as cohesive as possible. Yeah. And I think we're actually at the perfect size right now. Really nice vibes with the 5 of us.
Actually, adding John and Caddock, his character, I think it really actually added this whole extra element to the Ashbourne. Because we'd recently obviously added Quill.
Yeah.
Quill, Orion's character. And I think... Because the game that John brings in with not being a spy...
We are all playing very different games.
Very different games.
We approach the game... we have different worlds that we live in.
Yeah.
and it's quite fun having a bit of a powwow.
Yeah, occasionally you'll meet up with somebody else from the Striding and saying, what have you been up to? And the stories that people will tell you'll just be like, that is an exceedingly different time from the one that I've been having.
Yeah. We did a little bit of a ritual
to bring him in, because we have a sort of a tradition where the Brand, who in this case is Bungle's character Gaius, his kind of thing was he kind of has like a ritual he does to sort of bring someone into the group. It was really nice. It was just fun to have.
I think we did that on Saturday.
No, we did it on Friday.
You sure?
Yeah, we definitely did it on Friday.
Okay.
This was like we did it straight away, just
so
we could
get
to
dear
standing.
listeners. Sorry, dear listeners.
No, it was one of the reasons was so we could get it done and then head off to standing, because things are quite a rush.
Oh man, standing as well, Jesus.
So
but importantly, Kalik, who definitely isn't a spy,
definitely not,
was like, "Hey, I've heard that there might be an assassin or assassins,
yes,
a cadre of assassins,
oh my God, this
with
is so
different skill sets,
yeah,
that have been tasked to potentially kill you,
yeah,
me,
yeah.
Gellert, right?
Ashbourne, right?"
And bear in mind, this isn't Gellert's first rodeo when it comes to
potential assassination
points put out to him. So we heard that of a thing called the Blood Games.
So good, dude.
Where they were going to try and assassinate, or we're going to get to how this plays out, but that was the kind of setup. And bear in mind, like, Paul Bung, who plays Gaius, is basically my bodyguard.
Yeah.
And
get down, Mister.
The long suffering, and like Agni is my scribe, and we basically run around as a trio, which is now Quill joins in on as well.
Yeah. I know sometimes you feel a bit kind of weird about it, because obviously, like, I know sometimes you feel like you monopolise sort of game and stuff, but I think all the players love it. And
yeah, I do constantly say you don't have to do this.
Yeah.
Like,
but I think because the reality is you go to interesting places on the field and you do interesting
and
things.
Meet interesting people.
And
yeah,
in fairness, if they're ever not enjoying it, they can just walk away.
Absolutely.
And do something else. And I think you do always make that fairly obvious.
Poor Agni.
Yeah.
I turned Gellert, the bumbling diplomat, up to 11. I was like, Agni, write that down. You know what I mean? Or like constantly.
I've got this image of Gellert slowly becoming like Zach Brannigan from Futurama.
Yeah, kind of more
like
I think I'm becoming more like, in like a US governor.
Yeah.
Where you're like, fucking hell, that guy's like, his teeth are too white, his hair's too perfect, and he's a fucking moron.
Yeah.
But he has like a team that's very good around him that kind of help him, like do the job.
Yeah.
And I would be, frankly, terrifyingly useless without Agni and Keats.
I fully understand this feeling. Like without basically my team.
Hold on. At least I do things in my job. What? You're quite
how quickly you turn around on me.
Literally just a figurehead for the Navachers.
What?
Silver is literally running the Navachers, and you come out with your fan and your fucking your coconut cup, and you're literally just a figurehead. That's all you are. You're a peacock. And Silver is the one that's actually running the machine.
I get them through the door. And once they put once they're through the door,
welcome to the Navachers. Now go see Silver.
No, like
I'm off to blow some bubbles in the league.
Oh, jeez, it's so funny. We'll get to a lot of that later on. But
ridiculous,
man. But so at this stage, did you know the nature? Because obviously I'd heard a bit about the Blood Games, but did you know the nature of what?
OC, I had heard some stuff about it.
But IC you didn't know.
Yeah, and I was 100% playing it.
So you were playing it like it was like a legitimate assassination.
Exactly.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. We found out later that basically this is a plot by my watcher. I won't say any more about who that character is, but one of my bodyguards, Win, who wasn't at this event, had maybe been bragging about how good Gellert Ashbourne's bodyguard is, and how no one can touch me because of how good the bodyguard retinue is.
Yeah.
This was seen as a...
That was when you had, 20 people walking around of you protecting you?
The Ember cast, I had like a 20-odd people...
Posse.
Where the militia...
you literally had the militia come up and check up on you.
Because they were like 20 heavily armed fucking Navari wandering around. This means trouble. And they were literally just protecting me. It was amazing. But Wynne wasn't there this event. So this Watcher character had... had assigned certain assassins to come and get me, including things like I heard there was going to be normal assassins that are going to stab me, like there were like crossbows, there was going to be a honey trap.
I loved all of this stuff.
A poisoner, loads of stuff. I was just like, this is fun. So OC, I kind of knew they weren't going to actually try and kill me, but they were all going to try and have a pop at me, which made everything kind of fun. Standing, it was just really fun. Standing is where we in Navarre all go to the circle and we have a big old chat off at like a state of play, basically.
It's very difficult, and there's just not a better way of doing it. And I think it works very well but it essentially just informing people of what things are happening, where people can go for pieces of information for different types of game. But it's obviously quite long as a result of all that. But I think they've got it a lot more streamlined down now with like the way that the new I forget what the name of the role is now. The person who essentially kind of invites people in, and then
they were so good. Really by
good.
The way,
I think that has
I don't
changed
know that player, but they were so good, really concise, really clear. They did such a good job explaining what was happening,
keeping everything on task. Because it's like in the past, some standings have been very long.
Yeah, this isn't a conversation is a good one, because sometimes things start going into a back and forth. And it's like this isn't a conversation. Yeah. You go out there, you say your piece. If you want to talk about it, which is the point, you want game. Yeah. Go off and have a conversation afterwards. Like this is more like a bulletin post for people to kind of learn, and I think they did such a wonderful job. I went up there because I wanted to promote the ambassador election for Yarm. Yeah,
because you announced that you weren't standing.
I was, so I was basically letting everyone know that I am in that role, and if you want to know more about it or know anything about the Foreign Service game, to come up, which they did, by the way.
Yeah, you had some really nice...
I had a few really good, interesting players come up and ask me about foreign diplomacy stuff, how to get into the game, what's involved. I gave them the full waltz and all review of what's happening, and there are some really promising looking diplomats out there. I'm pretty hyped for it. So that was really nice.
I did a Navarchers thing, and I really got I really got into the performance. The one thing to say, I guess, going into the whole event, the performance side of being Talus is something I really got into.
There was an amazing picture of Keys.
Yeah.
With his
literally doing like a Jean-Luc Picard face palm.
Yeah, like he's just fingers into his forehead, and while you're standing next to him, being outlandishly flamboyant next to him. I have no idea what's happening, but if a picture says 1,000 words, that picture is
that's so basically good. The relationship between Talus and the rest of the Striding.
Did you upload it onto our Facebook page?
I think so. Yeah. You'll find it on there. It's hilarious. But so I went up to deliver this thing. It was really nice. Like the everyone responded really well. But you see, when you actually go up and make these announcements, it's pretty crucial if you're going to say there's going to be a Navarchers meeting.
Yeah.
That you actually say when the meeting is going to be.
So bad. Just get Silver to do it.
I should, dude. Soon that won't be a problem anymore.
Or bring Silver up there with you.
I did last time.
Silver is your Agni.
Oh my gosh! But it was so funny.
Oh, this is a classic Gellert thing to do as well. I gave all the flyers to other people to hand out.
Yeah.
So
you gave them to me, but then I was like, not long after you with announcement, so I couldn't do it. So I literally had to pass them off to somebody else. But then, I
think the rest of the guys handed them out. Agnew did as well.
I had a bunch.
Yeah.
We'd all taken some. But as you were, after I'd done my thing and I was walking around, I started like walking around the circle, handing out the flyers. But interspersed in among those flyers, I would offer somebody a flyer and saying that, and then a few select people, I'd be like, and if you're interested in seeing the more discerning side of Gellert Ashbourne, then there's another.
Hold on. So there's a direct.
Oh, I linked the two. Fuck you, Dave. I told you that you fucking around and you found out.
Hey, at least when I do it, you can't follow that. That's a very hard thing to follow to find out my movements. I wasn't handing them out. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I had other people doing it.
How many people did you have doing it?
There was quite a few. I can't remember giving you a list.
All right.
Across the field, I had it was a distribution network. I made sure that they get
fucking Reapers, wasn't it?
There's more than just that.
Also, how many did you hand out?
So there were only 40 copies.
40 copies is baby numbers.
Don't. I want it to be an exclusive run.
I did 220 of yours, Ian. 220.
But I treat you good. I treat you like you're an exclusive commodity.
40 is like
you're a prized fucking possession.
And they're gold dust. Like they are like now.
One thing I really wanted to do was I wanted to number them. I wanted to put like 1 of 40.
Did you?
No, I forgot.
I
really want to do that.
I think if we ever do this again.
Oh no, there's going to be a second printing. But so I think it's going to be one of those things where if you have one which doesn't have a number on the back, you know you have the first print run.
Original.
When I do like a second print run, I'm going to do like probably another 40, and then I'll number them 1 to 40.
The artwork was fantastic.
Yeah.
It's literally me.
Yeah.
And it's also weird to be like when you look at something and go, "That's me."
Yeah.
It's me. Chained to a bed with a pillow and my beautiful rod suggestively placed on my lap.
Yeah.
I love the detail of my glasses laying on the bed next to me.
Yeah.
Like, if anyone who's listening to this has had a sexual encounter with me, which there will be very few, this will be maybe not the chains, but the glasses next to me on the bed. Just. Mwah, so
it was so good.
It's so good. It's perfect.
Yeah, it was. I didn't have everybody I asked.
Yeah,
was like 100%. I want that.
Yeah,
like nobody turned down.
Complete people. Literally, it's a collector's item now.
Yeah. So there was a couple of people. It was so funny just to have these sort of few things because, as I say, there really weren't very many. There are 4. Like larger size versions out there. Oh yeah. There's 4 larger size versions out there in the Empire.
Where did they go?
Those go to very specific people.
Interesting.
They're resources. So there's 4 people who have, I would say, like frameable versions.
I love the idea of my scrawny ass being held up in pride of place in someone's house that I don't know.
It's genuinely
it was so funny when people started to be like, "Have you seen this?" And I'll be like, because I hadn't seen it, right? So I basically said to Ian like, because Ian asked, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm pretty sure I created a rule at Empire by distributing Smut of Ian." And then without his consent, and now there is a very, very specific rule.
Yeah.
You have to have people's consent to do it.
I think it's a great rule.
I think it's the Gellert rule. So you're welcome, player base, that I have created a new rule, which is a good rule. But so I gave a green light to it. But it was so funny when I bumped into you later because I was like, Talis, like someone spread all this pornography about me. They've targeted both of us.
It's so good.
Who on earth would want to do this?
I went straight to the inquiring cap.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, who is responsible for spreading this filth about me and you? And it's just so funny because
it was hilarious.
Both of us are like winky face, like lol. Really funny.
Talking of the inquiring ink cap, the difference in the reporting on both of us, because we both had a little aspect in there, or I should say on me, But there was I had one about
fuck
the
this.
resplendence of the standards
Fuck
that I had.
this. I haven't had my name spelt right in that paper once, okay?
What do you mean, Gary Ashbourne?
Or Jerry, or whatever the fuck it is. Like, he constantly misspells my name.
I love it so much.
When I went when I got elected, he talked about me getting, the only reason why I took the job was to get smashed on the foreign imported vino.
Yeah.
This time round, because I got a message on it off him, and he goes, little bird tells me that you're running for Senate now. And I was like, yeah. Like, I didn't know how this got out.
Oh, he's very well connected.
I know. I don't know.
I love it.
I've got spies in my midst. I didn't tell it. Like, I deliberately... By the way, this is something that's really important. I deliberately didn't try and power game in any way, shape, or form. I didn't go to my friends in Stridings and say, all of you need to vote for me. I was, like, pretty cash about it. I was like... Because...
It's hard with the podcast.
Dude, it's so hard with the podcast because I don't want to be like the idea of like me, even the accusation of me taking game away from other people because we have a little podcast is like it kills me, right? Like I don't want to make other people feel that way.
Yeah.
So I deliberately didn't do any power gaming whatsoever. I didn't really
the prep
do
we did was very last minute, actually. Like, I put the flyers together like literally a few days before.
Well, we literally came up with the slogans like put this, and then it was like this, and I was like, yeah, that will work. I love that there was even a typo on it, which was just
hilarious.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's absolutely perfect because it's like Gellert Ashbourne. And there's a fucking typo on the fucking. It's just.
Hey, we had to roll them out quick.
It's so good.
We had to roll them out quick.
But yeah, so he writes a puff piece. It's not a puff piece. He's like, failed ambassador runs for Senate. Okay?
At least you got your name wrong though.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully no one knew it was me. But yeah, the Inquiring Incap is genius.
It's so well written.
He did an article. Did you read the Fancy Nuts one about James's character?
Yeah.
And he just kept on putting in nut-themed puns all the way through the article. The Inquiring Incap.
So long writing.
He's a genius.
Yeah.
He's unbelievably good at what he does.
So
his kit, everything. Anyway.
It was one of those things where, like, because I'm telesing out like hard, like from the get go, and I'm just like immediately like, oh, this says nice things about me. It's my favourite newspaper, and I'm just like, you know, I've always said like all this kind of stuff, just like it just be completely like I am. You know, you can quote me, this is my favourite paper, all this kind of stuff, right?
We're at standing, and I'm looking over at him, and I'm going to him like, I'm mouthing like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Like, you fucking, you know, like,
it's so funny.
So
man.
Good. I also got interviewed by, and I got in the Oath Right.
Yeah, you had a bunch of stuff, right?
But the Oath Right, the interview I had was like from 2 seasons ago.
Right.
And it talks a lot about how I want my plans for Yarm, right? Whereas it makes me seem like a crazy person in light of the current state of play.
I like that though because it adds that whole context of like time and
the Oath Right is like a tabloid.
Yeah.
Okay, it's sensational.
Yeah.
It always has a twist on what it's doing. Like they iron out the Master of the Mint so hard. Like they even had a fucking a cartoon of the Master of the Mint, like being like, you know, having no money, and it's like this is so good. It's like it's like the Sun or something like that. But like the writers are very good. I mean this as a compliment.
No, but I think like all of the newspapers actually they're written in. They really get the vibe of the fantasy of those things being written.
It's the flavour.
Yeah.
It's the flavour. Like, the Inquiring Incap is like the National Enquirer, right? Like, it's good. Like, it's a gossip, like, whatever. And it's always, each article is, like, really hilarious. The Oath Right has, like, certain political agendas and all this stuff like this.
Dude, the Looking Glass, right? You get an actual fashion magazine that actually, like, has pictures and full-page, like, spreads and stuff.
When's Swoon of the Year?
I don't know. Actually, I think they did one. A Swoon of the Season was there. But yeah, no, that was it's good.
Did you get it?
No.
Oh, come on.
No. I'm not going to get Swoon of the Season.
I don't know, man.
But especially not now.
No, not now.
Not now.
Anyway, spoilers. Ian. Yeah, talk about the Vines meeting. What happened with that?
So basically a whole bunch of things happen after standing, after we all break up. There's the Fawns meeting, there's like the Fates go and meet up, and the Vines have a meeting. I was there when the Vines were originally kind of brought together as an idea, and that there would be Vines meetings. This is seasons ago.
Yeah,
years ago, yeah. And I was like, so I'm kind of known a little bit there in a way. Like,
I'm kind of a big deal.
No, not at all.
People
like that.
know
What I
me.
mean is like more a case of actually that I know it a fair bit, and and so does Gwendolyn, who's obviously going for the thimble. So we came up with this idea because I was like, I'm going to help you, because I didn't actually weirdly have a lot on this summit as it was. So I was like, I'm happy to help. At the time, I was like, I'm happy to help however you need with your political aspirations. So it's like, I'll go to the Vines meeting, say my piece for you, which I did. And she said her bit. It was just really nice, actually, just going with an agenda, right? With like a political agenda, which is not really a game that I've really been involved in before. It's not really something that I want to be like super involved in general.
Yeah.
But it was fun to do that, because it's like
carefully, and
there's stuff that you can
use me as a cautionary tale.
Yeah, like I definitely, I look at you and your meetings and stuff, and I'm like, whoa. It's not why I go laughing, but we can talk about some of my stuff for sure, but like I actually do love it. Like, oh no, I know you do.
Yeah,
I think actually, like a lot about LARP is just finding the things that you enjoy, right?
I think it's like with my game, because I basically had people call it the poison chalice, right? Yeah. Like that you're literally ambassador to a slave nation. There's like the nation as a whole, the empire, is extremely bloodthirsty. Yeah. Like, if there's an option why don't we just fight them and kill them, right? Like, that's the option that most people go for. So trying to be something else and having to do so much work has kind of got me, like, a pretty good, like, I don't know good, but people know who I am now because I'm hard working, even, like, if it's a treadmill, right?
Yeah. And I think, like, it's been interesting to see how I think we've both found different types of challenges in the game. Like, the game that I play is quite different from your game. Well, very different.
An entirely different game, yeah.
Like, my game is, like, almost entirely performance-led acting, essentially, which will become very relevant later on, because the slow evolution of who Talis was and who he is now, like when we first started, we all pretty much just played ourselves, right?
I would say you're basically playing a different character now.
Oh yeah.
I like the way. Yeah. Okay.
I think that happened like sometime last year or maybe the year before. It has been building.
I think it happened because you started. I think some of the choices that you'd made in playing certain archetypes of characters in our tabletop roleplay games gave you the confidence to express a lot more of a flamboyant character, which you've just ran with now, and now you're absolutely loving it, basically.
Oh man, it's so good. But yeah, so just running around and doing all of that was so much fun. Because I had not set the time of when the Navarchus meeting was, and the Vines meeting went on quite a while. So I left there, and there was a bunch of people kind of like just looking around for where the Navarchus meeting was. It's fucking disgraceful, dude. It was
just
so
get
bad.
Silver to do
I know. Look, in the future, this is how it's going to be. We've
You had a conversation.
We've had an intervention.
Yeah.
But basically, although our camp is great, it is quite tucked out of the way and difficult to navigate people to, like describe where it is in a sense. The Waystone Path, which is where Silver is literally like you can point to it visibly from standing.
Wow, it's almost like he's... anyway,
yes.
I've made my feelings clear on the subject.
I know. I feel the same way. And, and so it's just like, in the future, we're going to do all the meetings there. And it was just much more practical.
But then you have to carry all your snacks over, Ian.
I will carry all the snacks over. But there's actually a whole bunch of stuff we're going to do with that. That'll be for next season, though.
Okay.
another really nice element of it was just meeting like new players, like new people who, and this kind of happened throughout most of the Friday, but like new players who wanted to be archers and join, and people would introduce them to me because they knew who I was, obviously, and were like, "This is a game we're interested in," or game that a member from my striding's interested in, and just introducing people and interacting with new players. The Keen is so just being able to sort of like be like an entry point to game for people, right? And be like, oh yeah, this is a military unit that you can be part of. But by the way, it's also like I'm bonkers and you can interact with me, and then there's all these other wonderful people who are part of it who you can interact with, and you can like come for the fighting and the skirmishing, but you can stay for the fun RP and the people and all of that stuff, right?
And this sounds agree. This sounds really bad, but I get exactly what you're talking about. Like, I feel like Geller is like part of the furniture now in Navarre, right? Like, the character like Talis is known for certain things. We have contacts with different people. Like, it's interesting, yeah. And I think it's like, remember when we first started going, how doughy-eyed we looked at those people in the standing, and these big personalities that kind of like were really, and still are, like big signature people in the nation. And now we're kind of doing it, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think I've hit this point now where it's like that there is no kind of like not being Talis, right? Like every moment requires, like, just walking around requires like walking around with a coconut cup sloshing away. And like,
to stop the fucking gentrification of Navarre, man.
And it's just like it's really fun. Like, I had a bunch of moments where I'd go back to the market area, and what I decided with the was basically that we would have Ifan, my beautiful darling boy, would be set up on the stall there, and I would just occasionally like go and give him a hug and a kiss and be like, my darling boy, all this kind of stuff. And just it made, actually, it was way funner having him at the stall, like in the market, where I could make more of a display of it, if you like, than having him back at my camp, and just him being like a one note kind of like, oh, I got a lizard, and then everybody, then we put him aside and we kind of forget about it.
We just do audio description. Dave shakes head.
Yeah, it was so much fun, dude. And it's like, another thing though was like walking through there and talking to various people, because I had still a few of the flyers for you. So I was just walking through the market, handing them out then. So it's a good opportunity in the market. You get quite good throughput of people. And so I had some flyers for you, some for Gwendolyn, was handing them out. And I just got talking to a whole bunch of people there. And of course, then people will start asking me what your positions are. And
well, prosperity.
Yes.
Virtuous.
He gets things done.
Exactly.
Like, that's what we're running on. Yeah. And I'm like...
Solutions.
Yeah.
I'm not about problems.
So basically all of my answers revolved around me talking about how proud I was, because I really wanted to get dedicated to Pride this event, which was a really nice thing, which we'll get to later. But that my cup overfloweth with how proud I am of all of your kind of... I guess it's like your kind of your drive, right? Your ambition that Gallat has, because as you said, like, it doesn't necessarily matter that the wheels are spinning and you're not getting things done. You're actually pushing for a whole bunch of things. I think there's something as a character archetype. Although I know you found it frustrating a few times, it's actually something really quite. It's a cool story.
I think it's important. Like, never go for a title, or colloquially called a hat, if you don't have something you want to achieve. Right? Like, I think that's something people like, oh, I want to be the cardinal of prosperity.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? What can't you do as you that you would be able to do as a cardinal?
Yeah.
Like, and this is like, for me, I have like pretty clear objectives of what I want to do, and then you basically just have to walk a lot and talk to a whole bunch of people in order to try and make that happen.
I think you were quite good at this when people were coming up and asking you about the ambassador game, after you'd made yourself available for that, where you were kind of, you were basically broaching those kind of points where, like, why do you want it, like, and all these kind of things. It's like, and like talk to people, build arguments off what they say, and all those kind of things. I think because, again, although the game, the actual icy results of the game you've pursued haven't necessarily been.
It's the journey, not
all of that,
not achieving anything.
Oh man,
well, you have to be like that when you don't achieve anything.
So you've got written down here. You went to go and get the Reapers as muscle.
Well, I think Agni wanted to go and see the Reapers for something. Okay. Oh, I was also doing. I had plans for Operation Phoenix.
Right.
I will only refer to it as Operation Phoenix. Gellert has a very big plan. I will only refer to it as Operation Phoenix as active game.
Yeah.
And I needed to go and speak to their prince and to Nico and a few other movers and shakers in the league. And while we were there were a couple of Reapers.
Right.
And they were in a very excitable state and were fighting.
Amazing.
And I said to Nico, I hate to tell you this, but I think they might be on bite. And Nico was like, what? Really? No.
And for people who don't know, bite is a
fantasy cocaine.
A fantasy cocaine drug, right?
Yeah. It's like you take it makes you really aggressive. It's kind of,
It's kind of brought into the Empire originally by the Druge, but now there's kind of ideas.
I think that's a rumour. I don't know whether that's canon.
I think the original source was, and now there's basically people have made their own cuts of it and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff, and there may or may not be people who can make it. It's very shady.
Or they smuggle it in.
And there's all kinds of other drugs that are kind of getting on the market now.
There's new drugs.
Oh, yeah, and there's all the Chaos Fruit stuff was a go-go as well. There's so many different things. All of that, by the way, was not a game that I necessarily interacted with myself personally, but it was so much fun. When you hear about all these things, you can hear people being like, eat the fruit. Eat the fruit. It was just like, and like the vines basically were going to have a thing where they were literally going to like have people eat these chaos fruit, which were like fruits that they got from the heart of Brokeliand or from Brokeliand, and which have these weird magical properties. And if you eat them, weird things happen to you. Basically the decision was that the vines would all sit there and have someone eat the fruit. And then they would document what occurs to the subject after they've eaten the fruit. And I really loved that image. It was like, those old, kind of, that old style of medicine where you have
Victorian
Victorian, where they're kind of watching like a subject as they're getting like trepanned or something, right?
It's deeply unethical.
Yeah.
But in the name of science.
Yeah, it's so good. I loved it.
Yeah, so basically they had a bit of a scrap. Somehow we managed to convince them to be our bodyguards.
While they were on bite?
They were coming down off bite.
Okay, they're coming down off bite.
I think it was something like, we explained that there were assassins trying to get me, and they were like, oh, we're the best bodyguards around. And we were like, that sounds a lot like talk. And they were like, no, we could keep you safe, no one's going to touch you. And then we convinced them.
Right, because the league's all about making contracts, right?
Yeah, but we convinced them to do it for free because they were. I don't have any money anyway. I'm not paying for anything. I don't even pay Agni. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my gosh, yeah. Talking about that, I got given. I got like a throne from Quill, Orion's character, and
how long did that last?
Actually, quite a long time, which we'll get to. But it was just fun being like. Because basically, I'm not trusted with money, and we take money away from Talis because he has
spunk it on gambling or Goose Whisper.
Yeah, well, I can make Goose Whisper myself, but it was fun to like have a little stipend given to say like not too much.
Don't spend it all at once.
Yeah, it literally was like, this is your fun money, and that throne had some fun journeys over the course of the whole night.
Oh, do you know what I didn't mention the pre-lot, my downtime,
right?
Where I went to smash the absolute granny out of the pirate slavers.
Yeah, did you get good bank off of that?
Yeah, I got Mithril.
Fucking hell, everyone got, dude.
But Mithril, I think, like it was only like 20 or 30 people that got Mithril in their packs, and I was one of them.
Man, everyone got shit. I got absolutely fuck all.
Yeah, you got nothing.
I got absolutely.
I was like. Oh, Mithril. That looks good. And they're like, that's like 5.5 thrones. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
You know, like, that's fucking sweet. And Ian's just like, I got dick all in my fucking pack.
That's all I ever get. I need to swap out.
I actually have had a pretty awesome run.
You've had a really good run.
Yeah.
I think I think the fleets and the military units, I think they're just more dynamic. There's more fun things you can do. You get a little drop-downy box, which I think is full of good feels.
You get to have, like...
fun stuff, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's like, there's never any fun stuff with any of the other resources.
I feel so bad for, like, herb gardens.
Like, I mean, I guess I get to vote on stuff, but even that's quite dry. You just basically turn up and say who you're voting for. And it's just... and that's only because I'm Navarre.
Ian,
right?
it's horses for courses.
For sure.
And some people like that. I think you need to get yourself a military.
I need to get... I think at the stage I'm at, I need a military.
Yeah,
unit.
you're jonesing for it. You want that sweet action.
Oh yeah, dude. So 2 characters, both from the Embercast, who are played by the wonderful James and Sophie. So James was returning as a different character this time. He was returning as Kellen, his new character. He was basically... he kind of we made some IC contact. The basic gist is he's the kind of this guy who has not left the sort of tavern that he's been looking after since he was a kid, you know, with his family, and he's finally stepped out into the world and is kind of like experiencing Anvil for the first time, all this kind of stuff. There's obviously a lot more going on than that.
He's so shady.
He's so fucking shady all the time, and I was constantly like sort of trying to pluck out what the extra juice was from that, but he's good at being cagey but suggestive. I love it. But then also we'd kind of done it where I'd kind of met his character back before all of the backstory stuff that we had together. So back before we went to Hordland as the spy mission, back before we got cut off from the Empire. So he knew Tallis in like emo Tallis days where it was like, you know, like his mum had left when he was a kid and he was like, you know, so it was like sort of like goth emo Tallis mode. So he kind of was like really surprised to see him in this kind of flamboyant state, and I was surprised to just see him outside of this bar, and it made for a really cool fun interaction all the way through the event.
Didn't Keys have something to do with him as well?
Yeah, Keys had sort of Bungle, who plays Keys, he kind of had this whole setup with his character, and there was a lot more there. I need to have a chat with him about that because I was interested. I think like my interaction with James and Bungle's interaction with James, I think, was very different.
Yeah,
and that was very fun.
He actually asked me. I was talking to him, and I had a few people ask me what my position was on things before the Senate vote. They wanted to hear about what my aims and goals were, and it's like I quite liked that thing, but he was being very shady about it. Like,
the thing is with James, you can never really tell. He kind of asks these questions where he's needling for information.
He gives you a little knowing look when he says
every
stuff.
time he says something, there's a little cheeky smile at the end of it.
Little winky face.
Oh, I love it though. He always plays his characters with such there's a sense of depth to all the characters that he's playing, and I adore it.
Yeah.
The other one, meeting up with Theon again, Sophie's character. She plays this wonderful kind of she's I think she's a changeling who's kind of very they're very kind of in their emotions are high all the time. You know, they're either very kind of bright or very kind of like sort of dramatically angry and stuff like that. So it's constantly peaks and valleys, and she really does that really well. But I'd kind of heard that there was a potential romance going on between Theon and a Wintermarker. And of course, Tallis, being a person of gossip, was just like, you know, little bird found me. And I sort of started like giving a little winks and nudges, like, you know, you've got to follow matters of the heart and all this kind of stuff. And like,
not in Wintermark.
And it was so good because then she was like, oh, later tonight, I have a feeling this happened on Friday. I have to say there was a lot of alcohol for me involved in Friday. We'll get to that in a minute. But part of it was essentially, she said she's coming round later. And so you'll have to drop by when we have like this sing-song. I think that was on Friday. I'm going to treat it like it's on Friday. If it was on Saturday, I apologise. But it led to just. I'll do the whole story now, just because it's fun.
Yeah.
At this point, I have been doing a fair bit of drinking, so we will rewind to before the drinking later on. There's already been a little bit of drinking actually at this stage, anyway. But anyway, I turn up at the Embercast camp. They're starting doing these wonderful songs. So many talented people are part of Embercast. It's a wonderful striding, and there is this winter marker and Theon, and I'm like. Immediately Talis is like matchmaker, like he has to be involved. He can't have one of these things where he's like there's no subtlety to really just Talis in a way. He's like just constantly going up to people like them, matters of the heart have to be followed. You can't you don't want to be regretting tomorrow, because you didn't act today, all this kind of stuff. It was really good. And then it was kind of this thing where talking to Theon, kind of and I was like, I would have had to go to do something. She said, "Oh, just stay for one last song because I think you'll enjoy this." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, definitely, I'll stay for another song." And the song I stayed for was a song that Sophie had written, which was like essentially like a building love ballad that she'd made to sing for this winter marker.
Wow.
And it was really cool.
She's got a great voice.
She's got a wonderful voice. But she started it off like it was a song to the group. And then as the lyrics kind of evolved, it became obvious it was about a person. And then as it sort of evolved, it became obvious it was about a very specific person. And then it was like, as this kind of happened, the way she turned away from the group and towards this winter marker was just, it's so good. The RP... that's what I loved about it. It's like the mixture of the RP and the performance and the way the group responded, because all of a sudden, all the focus. Because you get that sort of moments where, and this is what I like about sort of performances in a living space rather than somewhere like Songs and Stories, which I adore as well, obviously. But there's little side conversations and stuff. But when people could kind of see the way this was kind of evolving, everything kind of dimmed down and everyone was looking, and then everybody kind of looked in on this moment. It was really nice, really touching. Very changeling, right? As I say, those kind of big emotional highs, obviously everything's in it kind of thing. It was really, really well done. It was like a real special moment to be part of. And I was just like, yeah, that's fucking great. Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. I thought it was best to do it all as one rather than break up in different bits. It was just fun RP, both with James and Sophie all the way through the event. But that specific sort of arc, if you like, with Theon, is just phenomenal. She always, both of them, I think they always bring their characters out with just so much, as I say, extra depth that's beneath it, and at forethought in what they do. It's very inspirational. I really love it. So, oh yeah. And then, so rewind. I've been hired by the Star Bar to basically give out bubbles favours to, so I made these little boxes which had my sort of bubble blowers in them, wrapped in these kind of sort of handouts that I'd kind of made. They look quite nice, I think. And there was this VIP party, high roller party in the Star Bar, and I got basically hired to go and hand out these bubble blowers. And I thought, that sounds great, I'm going to go and do that. And Orion, he'd been hired to go there and do a performance. And we found out that both the slots were the same time, because we'd actually been hired for at separate times. So it's let's just do it at the same time. You turn up and sing, I'll turn up and do hand out the bubble blowers, and I'll blow up a couple of bubbles and stuff. It's just the talent levels, by the way. It was so funny, right?
I heard you were very good, though.
We'll get to it. It was a really fun environment to be part of. But yeah, so I got kind of hired to do that, and that was because genuinely at this point, in terms of actual goals, I didn't have that much on. There was I'd purposely treat this whole event much more like a holiday, and I didn't really set a lot of stuff for myself. It was essentially
talk about it now. You've set it up. You might as well finish it off.
Yeah. So it was. We really should do it on Saturday, because there's a lot of setup that goes into doing that.
Sorry, I was confused about what else the notes say here. I thought it was
but after sort of getting this job, I was like, cool, I've got my good things sorted on my Saturday. I'm going to go and get some food. So I went off to Moorish. And one thing I like about Moorish is it's got this kind of IC kind of vibe where you can just sit in there and have stuff. Got some really nice food. I love listening to like little conversations and just sitting down with people and talking to them. Kind of again, like it's IC, but you can kind of drop OC a lot more casually, listening to little things. It was so much fun because I could hear there was like a couple of conversations sort of through the wall where I could hear like some people talk about the Navachas and how they'd done. They were sort of thinking, oh, maybe we should get in touch with the Navachas. So like that's very interesting. I haven't really been doing it much as the Navachas, so Silver's obviously killing it once again.
Yeah, very capable.
But oh man, I lost my wallet while at Moorish, and it was one of those kind of things. And it was like my wallet had. It was normally I empty of everything.
Classic Ian.
Oh, but it had everything in it.
Ian.
It had absolutely everything in it, and I was just like, oh jeez. And it was one of those things where it's like I had a feeling I'd get it back, but you know how you stress about stuff like that when you lose it. So it did kind of add a whole edge to the fucking the Friday night.
You got it back though, right?
I did get it back the next day, which was really nice. You've got a thing here, diplomatic meeting, no reports.
Yeah, so we have our diplomatic meeting on Fridays. You're supposed to get your diplomatic correspondence from the hub and then go and basically have this big chat with the Imperial Consul and the other ambassadors. The reports weren't ready.
Right.
This used to be a problem.
Right.
And it got better.
Yeah.
And now it's a problem again.
Right.
And
I heard the power dropped out at one point. Was it?
That was Saturday morning.
That was Saturday morning.
So they just... Okay. Little gripe.
Yeah.
The ambassador stuff is always the last winds of fortune. Not having the reports done for the Friday after the long dark. Like, we all show up there to have this meeting. We can't talk about anything because there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
And it's difficult as well because I guess that kicks everything then on to the next day, but then the next day there's other things going on.
Well, there's things you want to do.
Yeah, right.
Right?
And
you can't because you have no information.
Yeah.
Like basically the entire game of the ambassador is to have information. It's also way down on the totem pole for getting into Senate for elections.
Right.
So therefore, like you might be an ambassador and get elected on the Sunday afternoon.
Right.
And then you have to, as a new ambassador, then go and try and send a winged messenger with an hour left to go of the event. Right. So you have to go to the computers, write out your letter, write it out on a piece of paper, find a mage who can do winged messenger, send that off with a what's it called? A ref present.
Yeah.
Get that registered. Like, it's a lot. I feel like...
Is there a possibility, do you think, where they break off some of the civil service stuff? I don't know if even civil service is the right name for it. Actually into a separate body from the Senate? And
so
actually
the civil service is specifically a crew interaction thing.
No, I understand that. But I'm talking more like the... I don't know how I would phrase it, but like the equivalent of not senators, other people like ambassadors and so on.
Well, that's what the meeting on the Friday should be.
Right.
And then there's the Imperial Consul who kind of like represents this stuff in the Senate.
Right.
So he gets to ask questions, that sort of vibe. I think like... in all honesty, I think the ambassador game needs way more attention, way more love. It feels extremely neglected. I think like it feels like a tacked on module onto everything else that isn't quite incorporated into the rest of the game.
Sure.
And I think like with the current state of the Liberty Pact, basically if you want to talk about realpolitik, right?
Yeah.
And you want to talk about how the state of play actually is, all the slave nations should just declare war on the Empire. The Empire has done nothing but solidify its alliances with non-slave nations, been extremely aggressive. It's kind of a bit of a... It's a bit of a waste of time. Like, if you work really hard all weekend to go and do a thing, and then literally the Liberty Pact just overrules all of that with like literally no go-between between who should be the main point of contact. Also, there's stuff like when you send off letters, you don't get direct correspondence back. It'd be really nice if you could have a letter that said.
I always
X or
assumed it
Y.
was. I
No,
always assumed you
get-
had like a opposite number in.
You do, but you never speak to them directly.
Right.
They give you you get information from them, which or it's not from them, it's surrounding them.
It's more like a briefing.
But usually,
right?
I've been to most of the things I've been to when I had information. When I presented that information, other people knew that information.
Right.
So I'll say, hot news off the press, this is happening in Yum. And they're like, yeah, we know.
Right.
And it's like, oh, well, fuck, what am I doing? You know what I mean?
You want it to feel impactful, right? And it has relevancy and that you're bringing a scoop to the table.
Yeah, and there's
you essentially you want to feel like you're the person who people have to speak to learn the thing.
Yeah, and that you have actual sway. I had, in my year as ambassador, I had one sit-down meeting with a representative, which wasn't even really for me. It was for related to other things. I don't know. It's I'm still deeply passionate about the relationship that the Empire has with Yarm and what this means for, in my opinion, in reality, it's fucking huge. Okay, in politics, it's domestic politics is one thing. International politics is how countries go to war. Okay, it's how trade agreements are made. It's there's obviously some very real world things that happen in the UK in the last few years that are completely related to that, which is domestic politics dictating foreign policy and what that really means, right? So it's I find it really interesting, but in my time it felt very lackluster. It felt like an afterthought, and like I said, when I tried to get more information that I can RP with, right? I want to be visiting Yarm. I want to be able to tell stories of my experience going to a place and being the fucking expert on this subject, because it's the thing that I know. I never felt that way. It's very, very difficult. There were characters on the field who had much more information about Yarm because they had personal contacts there rather than I did. I think this maybe comes down to my game as well. I doubt myself a lot when it comes to how I communicated. I also got Agni to write a lot of the letters because I wanted to get my entourage involved, and I think maybe I should have been more clear in my communication, but I don't know, very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, when you described some of the things to me, the way I had assumed the ambassadorial game worked and the way it actually works, it does feel like there's certainly room for things to be done with it. It's just
it could be really exciting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are genuinely interested in it as well. For example,
potentially, it's so cool.
Yeah,
the world of Empire is so rich. You have all these foreign nations and all their likes and dislikes and what they want to do, and some of them trade in this way, and some of them might be the actual. The framing of the narrative of we're the Empire and we have ambassadors that talk to these foreign nations and we are trying to, and they have needs and wants, and we can, but in actual play, all I found was really closed doors and nothing really there when I tried to do things. Again, this might be how I approached the game, how I played the game, but
I think one of the reasons. Again, it's not really a criticism. It's more just a perspective thing. But one of the reasons I play the type of game I do is because, it feels with a lot of other aspects of the game that essentially what you're doing is you enact a thing, and then the result that comes back to you is please await further response. It's like typing in an input into a machine and pressing go, and then you won't find out. There's no advancement. There's nothing that can happen beyond that thing until the next summit. And essentially, it's like a choose your own adventure book where you turn to page 57.
Yes.
And on page 57, the text says, "Come back, and you'll find out."
Well, it's like a lot of Empire feels like you're reading a book, and the book is a choose your own adventure, rather than an interactive dynamic thing. I think that's just the nature of having a fest LARP.
Yeah.
I know that there are other aspects of the game that do have those things from what I understand. So I know that people have encounters, they have like Eternals feels like something that's quite immediate and lots of things can happen in those. But yeah, I just feel like the diplomatic game needs a bit of an overhaul and a lot of love, basically.
And how did that impact Operation Phoenix then? I mean, like, bear in mind, I don't even know that much about Operation Phoenix, I have to say, dear listeners.
Operation Phoenix! Well, I had to... In order to do Operation Phoenix, I need to... And this is actually quite an interesting lead-on in the conversation, is, like, why do I want to become a senator? Well, a senator has a lot more ability to pull the levers of different things. So there are a bunch of different levers at Empire that make things happen, right? The Senate can pass motions, the military council marches armies around, the Synod can lay down spiritual precedents, which means that you can have a much stronger argument if you're like, Synod says this, I want to do this, way stronger. So basically what I was doing that night was I was trying to talk to different people about Operation Phoenix.
Okay. Now, conversely, while Gellert is running around doing that, I would say, so again, this is rewinded before all of the stuff with Sophie and the wonderful singing performance she'd done earlier. I set out with this idea that I'll go and have a few drinks. I've got some time to kill. I know the loose idea of maybe I'll hand some flyers out, talk to some people, talk on your behalf, and sort of get a picture. Also, I was going to look into the blog games. I thought I would maybe find out a few things. I set off with some bubble blowers and some time to kill. The only way I can really describe it is the Z-list celebrity of Talis, the like being basically called
the meme
of Talis, right? Being called by people to go to a place to drink with them, so they can, and being like introduced to people. And then
your life is so much better than mine.
It was like I had this process of like just leaving like Navarre and like progressing along. I got sort of called by all these different people to like just kind of go and like people that I kind of know, some I don't know, and it was just like, yeah, sure, I'll come and have a drink, have a laugh with some people, be flamboyant. I didn't have to pay for any drinks. And then, so I have this throne. And the thing is, that's literally, at this stage, that's the only coin I have as well, because it's a throne. So I keep turning up at these places and I'm like, oh, I'll buy a beverage. I've got this throne. Can you break that? And nobody wants to break a throne. So, but like, people are like, so these people are, I'll cover you for a beverage. I felt terrible, but it was
I'm
like,
sure you felt terrible getting free drinks all fucking night.
It was so good. But it ended up just being really funny, because I can't even, like, I don't actually genuinely know what my agenda really was on Friday night after a certain point, because it just turned into, why did I leave camp? Why am I in Varushka? And how did I get here? And I have like it was so, and like I had all these little bubble blowers that I'd been just occasionally handing out to people, and just the coconut cup was ever overflowing, and it was just fantastic. I had just the best time, and I was just,
it still bothers me how I'm always in bed, tucked up like my granny, and you're out there living your best life, getting free drinks all night, having not a care in the world, blowing bubbles, and getting paid for it.
And then I came back. So then I came back to the whole thing with Theon, listened to the performance there. That was great. Set off again. And I just as I left, I heard the wonderful sounds of the rusty compass strumming up at the dog end. And I'd heard it was going to be the last drinks at the dog end ever. They're closing down.
Fuck off! I've never had a drink at the dog end. They're literally shut every single time I've ever tried to go, and you're there listening to Rusty Compass.
Oh.
And getting like the last drink.
It was the last performance of Rusty Compass at the Dog End, which, by the way, is always like
a banger,
an absolute banger. By the way, like when I ran into because basically as well, not all of Rusty Compass were there for the full event.
Yeah, one of them was
so that Friday really was the night for them. They were so good, and they absolutely slew at the Dog End, and the drinks were flowing. It was so much fun. I was kind of just at this stage. I had consumed some alcohol,
a couple of Chardonnays,
and I was just literally in the corner, just like I think there's some images of me, just with a big old smile and a coconut in my hand and a straw waggling around, just like dancing alongside Rusty Compass. But it was like kind of more bobbing than dancing. That's about all I can do.
Cut to me in a tent,
yeah,
talking about how I see the future, and there are different paths that the Empire can go down. And there's doom and destruction or opportunity and all this crap. I'm playing the game wrong, dude. I'm playing the game wrong.
I mean, I don't want to break it to you, but I think you might be right. The other wonderful thing was
what
as part of how things have progressed, I had acquired myself some Starbucks. Now, Starbucks are a special token that you can spend at the Star Bar for a free beverage. And I had 2 Starbucks to my name, and I thought, well, these are going to go down well at a treat. So I pocketed myself my Starbucks, and I thought, that's going to be, because I was already quite sauced at this point. I thought Friday, and I knew at this stage, obviously, it was monstering on Saturday, so I thought, like, I have to cool it down a little bit. Which actually, a little cheat, which is actually quite fun. I actually tend to bring, as wimpy as this sounds, I bring, like, shandies with me. Occasionally, so like when I've been like drinking a fair bit, but I still fancy some liquid because I am a thirsty boy.
You are.
I do.
He's literally.
Actually,
we both
all my drinks.
We're out of beverages. Actually, an hour and 15 minutes in, we're out of drinks.
But like, I like having something, frothy in my cup, so I just occasionally just pour myself a shandy, and that was actually like quite a nice way to sort of sober up but still be in the mood for sort of party and fun, and that was really nice. Just sort of went off into the night with Starbucks pocketed, sloshing coconut cup, everyone having rambunctious fun around me. You got dedicated to vigilance.
Yeah.
When did this happen?
So I'm a close personal friend of the Cardinal of Vigilance.
I know. This is the flip side of things. You do actually know very many important people.
I'm not necessarily liked by everyone, but I know a lot of important folks.
Well, I'm not liked by everyone now either.
Well, hold on, spoilers. So he's played by a guy called Chris. He's a really lovely bloke. We've talked a lot through my position as ambassador an awful lot because I'm like vigilance, like everyone keeps looking very in the near future. I like to look long term and see what the repercussions of this is. So basically I've been like I think I started off as Gellert as being ambition, but I've now
ambition felt more of like an if-and thing, right?
Yeah, but like I wanted to do a bunch of stuff, and my ambition was to do a bunch of stuff. But now, having been in the job, it's more like vigilance. It's all about vigilance.
Yeah.
It's about long view. It's about understanding what the correct thing to do is, rather than the.
It sort of fits your character on so many terms as well. Bear in mind the genuine assassination threats, the blood games and stuff. Like you're being constantly like
harangued.
Yeah, there's like pressure all the time. And operating under pressure.
And having like trying to do my best even when the situation is like on a public facing is like a complete lost cause, right? Like it's anyway. And I got dedicated to vigilance, and he dedicated to me, and it was awesome. I was pretty fucking pissed when he did it, so I don't think I gave it the gravitas that maybe it should have been done.
How had your drinking gone for the evening? Like,
so I stupidly didn't write my notes immediately when I got back from the event.
Amazing.
I then went to Prague, which we will be doing an episode on, and had a very extreme emotional experience in Prague.
Right.
And then wrote my notes over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
So I was definitely doing things on Friday night.
Yeah.
I might have done things with people that are listening to this now.
Yeah.
Now, 2 weeks later, that is all just a big blur.
Because we're about we're 2 weeks out now.
Yeah,
2 weeks out. Like there are certainly things I've forgotten, and the Friday a lot of like the way to describe my evening is as I say, just loosely being a Z-list celebrity.
I met loads of fun people. I had a really good time. I talked to senators. I talked to big swanky people. I talked to all sorts of people. I had a really good time.
Yeah.
Can't tell you anything about it.
No.
It's lost in the blur of it. But literally the last thing I did was, because I was getting sick because of Ellie, I kind of half cut.
Fucked yourself up.
Just went to bed.
Yeah, so here's the thing, because I have written Crimson Reapers at the end here.
Yeah.
Am I thinking, because I thought this at some point on Friday, because I have a vague memory of bumping into you on Friday.
Okay.
And that we went to the Crimson Reapers, you had something on there, and I had never been inside the Crimson Reaper tent.
Really?
And seeing how, like, actually skilled people put together like an ICOC area.
The Reapers are like
so good.
They're like the fucking cool kids.
Oh,
they're like their
gosh.
kit looks fucking amazing. They've got fingers in all the pies.
Yeah. I have no idea what happened at that period of time. I had several drinks. I remember loosely being with you.
Yeah.
And being with some of the Reapers inside one of the tents and just basically being... I think I was literally just looking around being like, this is really fucking impressive. And you were talking high politics or something.
Yeah, I think I went there to do some Operation Phoenix stuff. I don't want to be specific in what I was talking about.
I would not be able to tell you anything about that either.
But yeah, I was generally just, that's what I do. Yeah.
I had also another thing to sort of drop in here. I'd been told, because there's various kind of, not everyone necessarily is as it would seem, a fan of Talis as a character.
Weird, I don't know why that would be.
And so I had been fed some information by certain people who kind of watch over me.
Yeah.
That
are these the same people that watch over me?
I think so.
Okay.
That I was costing resources to look after. and I needed to tone it down a bit. But
I love this concept, by the way, of if those people that are assigned to watch over me, like I've heard, like, where's he going to now? Oh God, he's going into this camp. But like, it's just like in the middle of the night by himself. It's like
I have like well, the way we play is so different. Where it's like. I could just turn up and just be like weirdly flamboyant somewhere, and just people just be like, he's got to go, right? And not have a Scooby. Right?
I worry that one day some idiot's going to try and mug me,
right?
And I never have any money.
I've got no money.
Well, you got a phone.
Well, we'll get to that.
All right. But yeah, I'm going to get like stabbed up in a ditch for nothing. It's not even going to be for like a good reason. I'm just going to get shanked in the fucking dark.
No, I think I'm going to get shanked in the dark for a good reason.
Yeah, anyway.
We'll get to that. That is Friday, though,
folks. That's Friday. Oh, my God. That's 2 hours of chatting already, and we're only just on Friday. Saturday's going to be fucking enormous.
Yes.
It's a really big day.
Yeah. I do love doing this, though, dude.
It is fun, isn't it?
Dude, now roll that D8 and give me that name.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we have a new thing where we roll a D8, and because we have exactly 8 Patreon,
patrons.
We actually have a D8 this time, and we're gonna roll it up.
Okay.
Last time's result was a 6, so if we get a 6, we re-roll.
Andy Raff only gets so much love on this podcast.
5.
5. Violet. Lovely, delightful, beautiful Violet.
Amazing.
She's amazing. Thanks, Violet. Really
Violet.
appreciate you.
And thanks for everyone for listening. And to all the patrons, obviously.
Yeah.
Really love you all.
Yeah.
See you for Saturday.
Bye.